A very warm welcome to all international viewers to the final of the Qatar Exxon Mobil Open in Doha. It's Davidenko, the defending champion, who beat Federer in the semis last year, and Nadal in the final, saving 2 match points. He's looking for a successful defence, and if he does, he will be the first man ever to beat Nadal and Federer in the same tournament 3 times. Federer leads the head-to-heads 14-12.
14-2.
14-2, beg your pardon. Thank you very much, Fru.
Ready.
And it'll be Federer to begin.
Please take a seat, thank you.
Chris Bradnam alongside Sir Fru. Fru McMillan.
Thank you. Odds.
Well, maybe of academic interest, but that's actually the 19th successive point that he's won on serve, Federer. He'd obviously won 18 in his match against Troitsky.
Well, it's interesting right from the off. Federer looking for the forehand. That's the one that has been really fine-tuned.
It has, and my thinking is that not only is he developing that serve, because early in his career, Federer, he did not have that serve, even though he was doing very well on all surfaces. He didn't serve out well to the right court. And of course, much of the thinking is that he's fine-tuning it for left-handers. I wonder what left-hander he might have had in mind.
Comfortable start for Federer. Yes, he played Nadal in the final of this exhibition event in Abu Dhabi. And as I've been saying all week, Nadal gave Federer 9 forehand returns in 2 tie-break sets. I'd love to see Federer return the favour, just to see what would happen in the match, and only give Nadal a handful of forehand returns.
Did he not do that?
No. Mixed it a lot.
Well, he's up against a man here with, I think, one of the best forehands in the game. It may not be as powerful as Federer's, but particularly the forehand cross-court is terrific. And I think actually quite a pretty shot. We've seen a few slow motions of it during the week.
Davidenko to serve.
Challenge system, of course, available to the players here as he takes a long look down at that ball which skidded through the line.
Love 15.
He lost his serve a couple of times against Nadal, but it's almost, in a way, futile referring back to that match because it wasn't the real Nadal.
Ooh, unlucky. That was fast and furious.
Well, I was thinking Federer must perhaps wonder what he's going to do to win the point a little bit more quickly. But if I think that Federer may be thinking along those lines, what on earth must Davidenko be thinking? Because he was under the cosh. And this is, after all, his service game. This is when he's meant to do a bit of dictating and dominating.
He looks so sharp, Federer, doesn't he, early on? He's a worrying sign for the Davidenko fans, and his brother, Eduard, in the middle there. Wife alongside. Nikolai's wife, that is, Irina. 3 break points. Perfect game from Federer. The backhand's being hit as hard as his forehand, it seems.
Yes, no suggestion of a mishit. And almost an acknowledgement there of a little bit of despair by Davidenko as he looks across to brother, almost as if to say, well, what on earth do I do against this? Because he's the one who usually starts so well against a slow-moving Federer.
It's poetry in motion, the serve. Identical ball toss, shape up to hit it. Just the wrist at the end for direction. It's effortless.
Looking for a kicker there. One way of taking the player out of court, of course, and opening up the court.
Severin Luthi,
15 all.
Swiss Davis Cup captain and ever present for Federer. Anna Cohn, I'm assuming, will join them in Melbourne. Oops. Now, why wasn't that a forehand?
Well, I don't think it really needed to be a forehand. Why? My question would be, why didn't he hit it in court, and why did he wait quite as long? Because he ended up playing it over the shoulder. He knew he'd wrong-footed Davidenko.
On the right, Stéphane Vivier, the trainer on tour, former trainer to the tour.
Thirty all.
I think he's the boss.
He's certainly taking no prisoners. He's taking that ball early. It was obviously Davidenko's attempt to win the point on the second serve by hammering it home early on, but Federer's defense is just such, and his attacking game is spot on.
He's walking, so will he challenge? Yes, he is.
Mr. Federer challenging the call. Right serve.
Instant challenge.
What's called out.
Still not a huge fan of Hawkeye, Federer.
Call stance.
Okay. 3 points in a row, and the first 3 games in this opening set of the final to the 2-time former champion. He's put a real skip in his step, and he looks mighty.
And so far, it's working very well, even against a very rapid-moving Davidenko.
Needs to get on the scoreboard and quickly, Davidenko.
Please take a seat, especially behind the place. Thank you. Place already.
Love 3, first set.
15 love.
He's rocked back once more. I think they're getting a little twitchy. The shaking of the head continues.
Yes, one of the problems for Davidenko, even though he's capable of serving a few aces a match, of course, is that he can't really do much about it. He can't produce the power he hasn't got.
Super. I mean, he relies heavily, doesn't he, on first serve percentage. And it's normally around 80% or thereabouts. I mean, the bizarre thing is when he starts to miss his first serve, he can serve a whole host of doubles.
Yes. But technically his serve is good. He's not one of these players that just looks necessarily for a percentage, because look at that, 205 kilometers an hour. He's got enough power to crack aces. He's got a very good technique, as I was saying.
40-15.
Talk of the devil.
Probably averages 4.5 aces a match.
Davidenko.
Good game. His final has started.
Leads 3 games to 1.
Three months off last year, and not the best of years, ending up outside the top 20. Only the second year in 6 that he's been out of the top 50.
Yeah, 22 in the world currently, his lowest ranking since January 2005. There's a head start. It was difficult to imagine that Federer was going to get any better after the first 3 games.
Well, he used that wrong footing tactic against both Troitsky and Tsonga so well, but they're very big, heavy men, and it's very difficult for them to turn.
15
Davidenko, you feel, can turn on a thimble, and yet he was wrong-footed.
Serve forehand. It'll be major.
30-15.
On that side, as it is on this.
(40-15). Federer.
It's not a shot, but it's not in his repertoire, and he's invented quite a few as well. 4-1.
The final. I can't see him ever winning a major. I think he's a little too slight to be able to win 7 matches over 5 sets.
$15 love.
You saw a lot of that from him at the French Open a couple of years ago.
Ooh. He just needs to make one of these, doesn't he? Just to get a bit of inspiration going.
Well, he will certainly feel a bit better about matters, Davidenko. Doesn't quite have the power on the backhand, which is why I think he's gone for the lob there. Had it been on the forehand, I think he would have gone for the pass. Surprised in many ways he didn't try the typical two-hander shot, the cross-court angle, using a lot of left hand.
40-15.
So a bit of Federer's own medicine there with a serve to the forehand. Bit more animation in the booth.
Davidenko
keeps it to the single break deficit. That's impressive the way Federer has started, and it is just the single break, so you never know.
He was talking about finals. He was saying one of the easiest finals he's ever had was 2004 in Moscow. Beat a chap called Greg Rosetsky there. Had to save 3 match points, but it wasn't too much of a problem. Had to save one in the semi-2 against Yuzhny.
Let for service.
Another half chance. How much does it change your own psyche, knowing that Federer is down the other end for when you have half shots like that?
I think you probably try for almost too much. It definitely affects you. Not that I've played Federer, but I would imagine it's a bit like taking on Laver and people like that, or McEnroe in my day.
Players are playing McMillan and Hewitt, or Hewitt and McMillan.
Well, you feel you've got to come up with perfection almost, and sometimes something less than that will actually do the trick.
He looks solid overhead this week, isn't he?
He has, yes, without looking dynamic.
Play.
Well, that's the real advantage of the two hands, of course. When the kick serve does arrive and you're quick enough, you can get a lot more power behind it than most single-handers, unless you've got a right arm like Boris Becker or Lou Hode of years gone by.
His favoured serve, especially on the 15-30 point, the 30-40 point. He's mixed it a bit more this week in terms of choice, but it's the standard one.
He's likely to serve that more because he's serving the one out wide here a lot more.
For service.
Mr. Challenge though.
Service line, ball is scored good. Call stand. Call stands.
5-2 Federer after 22.
He's so used to doing it on the forehand side. Hasn't been taken to deuce on his serve in his last 2 matches. Last 3 now, including this.
So with new balls, Davidenko serving to stay in this opening set. 2-5.
Love 15.
Davidenko is pretty agile on his feet, but another demonstration really of Federer dancing at his best. Ball directed to the backhand, yet making room for the forehand so quickly.
It's like his gear, it's a swoosh.
He certainly went after that one very quickly, and of course that's so important, the quick decision that he makes here to get in and take the early ball. Should be instinctive, but it doesn't apply to many of the rest of us.
Davidenko in trouble once more on serve. Pretty gutsy second serve at the start of the point.
And perhaps almost a suggestion of overconfidence on Federer's part, where he'd used his feet so well. The previous 2 points there, the backhand didn't make enough room for it. No first serves from Davidenko in this game.
Yeah, the double we talked about,
40.
when he struggles to find the first serve.
Umpire Laiani would upset me because, you know, I'm struggling to get my serve in. I miss another one. I look up and he's smiling.
2 set points now. So every time you say that, Frew, I get the feeling that if you did umpire when you were playing, you'd be wearing the smile.
30-40.
Second set point. Much better. It's so key to his whole game.
Use.
Close. Federer let it go. Davidenko wants to see the mark. And he's challenging.
Might as well at this stage of the set. See how difficult it is for him to win points on second serve. He needs this to be in.
Constance.
Hold your breath. Now. He took so much pace off the serve. Look at that, 134 Ks just to get it in.
Advantage.
And that is not going to get the job done.
Mr. Davidenko has one
set
challenge
point
remaining.
Number 3. Same option, same result.
Well, it's a very stark illustration, isn't it, of the importance for him here. With Federer in such fine form off the ground, the importance of getting the first ball in. He's likely to be over 70% points won, but second, he's likely to be in the 40s.
What a return. Boy, oh boy. Deliberately shortened the swing to virtually nothing.
Advantage Federer.
I think this is really when you pull the white towel out of your pocket.
Yeah, and it's not going to rain. Fourth set point. Boy.
Mr. Federer challenging the call.
I think challenging the audacity of this second serve, I think, from Davidenko.
Yes.
Roddick, you could understand it, but not Davidenko.
Yes, it wasn't so hard. It was just beautifully placed and certainly in. He's got less chance than Davidenko, surely.
Yeah. I think he just wants to get rid of all his challenges like he so often does. That's a shocker. For somebody who's got such a good eye. The second serve is being taken apart. And yes, it is. So accurate.
Federer. Mr. Davidenko has one challenge remaining.
They provided beautiful pictures this week.
Federer.
Davidenko sees the funny side of life.
I look too much there, sorry. I give you 3 more.
Fifth set point. Well done. Switch the serve direction too, just to catch Federer a little off guard.
And he's one of the best on the men's tour of taking that drive volley on, where so many other players, you were pointing out that on the women's tour, most of them actually do just this. Whereas most of the men would have let that drop. Born in Ukraine, Davidenko, but became a Russian citizen when he was 18.
Magnificent.
Advantage Federer.
Set point number 6. Well, he's hanging in here, Davidenko, and of course if he does hold, then the 6 set points, will it create some mental baggage?
Well, it has in the past. One thinks of the match points that Federer had during the course of last year. I think in 4 different matches had match points against people. Most important, of course, Djokovic at the US Open, and went on to lose. The beauty of it is that Davidenko is having to produce some of the finest tennis of his life here in order just to stay at one with Federer in this game. And that backhand down the line of his is Del Potro-like, Nadal-like.
Deuce.
It's the expectation the crowd have, isn't it, coming to watch Federer. Sometimes a footballer gets the ball and everybody sits up in their seats.
Advantage, Davidenko.
126-mile-an-hour ace.
Odds.
A little slower to that side, and therefore really a test of technique, having to produce all the power and make sure that everything stayed together nicely, and just coming up a little short.
Simple action too, isn't it? Rather like Federer's, it's tough to pick which way he's going to go because it's very similar to the build-up, the ball toss.
Yes, it's a really good action. Well, this game, I've certainly done this week, 19 points in it.
Now this is interesting. 6-7 points of coming on. Federer is pretty close to somewhere near his best, but he hasn't put Davidenko away yet in this opening set.
Federer leads 5 games to 3.
5-3.
Somehow, if the Russian could just take the first point of the game. He did it once, but that was a Federer double fault.
Do you think forehand here?
Well, he should. That's what I would go with if I were him. It's been a winning factor, surely.
He was onto it, Davidenko. Expected it there.
Well,
15.
this has us on the edge of our seats now.
Forehand again?
I got the last one wrong. In that he lost the point.
That missed by some way. What a point that was.
Missed his opportunity, Davidenko. There was just the reluctance when he had plenty of time for the two-hander. Should have gone down the line. He should have remembered the two-hander in the last game and how important that was. Instead, just a bit fearful of going to the forehand, he went cross-court again. Federer was waiting for him. Stages like that, courage is what is needed.
Net for service.
When he takes the pace off a little, you get the extra angle. Even if you know it's going there,
15.
you're going to struggle. How short that is.
(40-15).
2 more set points.
Game. The first set, Federer.
No mistake this time from Federer. Faithful to the serve. Takes the opening set 6-3 with just the one break. Welcome back. 40 minutes it took for Roger Federer to secure the opening set. Your thoughts, Fru?
Well, he was really just so dominating up until that one service game of Davidenko's, and even then Davidenko had to produce his very best tennis of the match and barely got by it. I thought Davidenko had to start this match very positively. He hasn't, just because Federer has started it that much more positively. So it's going to be very difficult for Davidenko. Key, of course, has been really Davidenko's inability to match Federer off the ground, losing a lot of second serve points, whereas for Federer, well, his second serve almost matched his first, I believe, and the number of points he was able to garner.
Yes, and this now a big gain for Davidenko at the start of the second set. He needs to get in front.
Now.
He's only won 4 of 13 points, Davidenko, behind his second serve. Gives him a chance to boss the point more, and the first serve does go in. His percentage is creeping up into the mid-60s now.
Which is where he would be generally, I think. Somewhere there and thereabouts. Well, a real pity. You can see again the advantage of that serve. I wonder if it's going to be the feature shot of this year, because for years I've maintained it's been underused. It used to be trad on a grass court. That's how you were brought up.
Too many of those from Davidenko.
30 on. For service.
Same courts, of course, plexi cushion that will be used at the Aussie Open. All the tournaments leading up to the Aussie Open, wherever they are on this surface.
It's like every point is a major battle.
30.
No respite. Good hold from Davidenko. He's sending out the right messages.
Second set.
Plenty of support for him.
And he might even be able to match Federer when it comes to aces, chiefly because Federer, by using the slice serve and the kick serve, is not going to serve as many as when he uses his more powerful, straightforward serve.
It's interesting about how much it's mixed still.
Yes, although still the accent is on the serves out wide, opening up that court.
Love 15.
It's important too. You can get Federer to hit backhands straight after his serve. The rally must feel so different.
Well, it might have been a tricky one. So often those mishits are, but it would only have been that much more difficult for Federer had it been lower than the tape. As it was, he was able to play it above the level of the net.
You never hear him move, do you?
13-15.
Uncanny, the lightness of his feet. You know, on hard courts, you normally hear squeak here, squeak there.
Super return. Again, the advantage of the two hands. Didn't have quite the width, but it certainly got up high. It was more of a straightforward top spinner as opposed to a massive off break. So Federer not yet taken to deuce.
14-13.
Davidenko maybe got a nick on that last serve.
Game Federer.
Federer holds firm.
And by Davidenko's standards, that was a poor miss, because that was not a good serve by Federer. And of course, I'm talking about Federer's standard of play. For most other people, not a bad serve. But at this level, Davidenko's got to hammer those away. It's stood up nicely for him. That's about right, isn't it? Hard work never fails. As Gary Player used to say, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah. He's just a little off, isn't he, Davidenko? And he gets his half chances today compared to yesterday, for example.
15.
I know Nadal was half the man, but he's not fully relaxed into this yet.
Well, I think during that point he made the mistake, really, of going for the less favoured side of Federer, as far as Federer is concerned, to the backhand, whereas he had an ample and easy opportunity of using the forehand cross-court, which is his best shot.
Take a seat, thank you.
So if you're forced actually to deny yourself your best shot, you're going to come off certainly second best. And that is his best shot. So if it's struck that well, it can trouble Federer.
15 all.
It's a big if, of course, because you've got to keep striking it well, point after point.
(30-15).
If this serve made hay, there'd be quite a few bundles.
We've seen more wide serves
Yeah.
in this tournament than we see in a whole year as a rule.
It's almost come into fashion for this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like yellow.
Yes, I prefer to. I'm not sure whether you're referring to his yellow, but I prefer to think of it as golden, and I'm just hoping it's going to be a golden year for him.
Davidenko.
So on serve in the second set, Davidenko keeps his nose in front and his interests alive. 2-1, second set.
2 games to 1.
Federer 1-2, second set.
15 love.
Get that back. Boy, any mule would be proud of that one.
30 love.
Look at that, just 133, but again, that's a serve he's hardly ever used. It's a new dimension to the man. Which is pretty frightening.
I mean, so often he just comes out and plays, and he's good enough to win most of his matches, but thought process really kicking in, perhaps, to start winning the majors again.
Federer.
In the Nadal-Federer matchup, I know we keep talking about it, but let's face it, in the last 23 majors, Federer or Nadal have won 21 of them.
2 games all.
It is a two-horse race, really, still. But Nadal is so clear in his game plan all the time, isn't he? And I just think in the matchup, it's for Federer to do always. Because you know exactly what you're going to get from Nadal. Davidenko, after that hard volley, probably the word oops came to mind.
Yes, I'm not sure he would have benefited much more by closing in on the net, because Federer kept it pretty low, this shot here.
Love 15.
He certainly didn't have very good hands for the shot, and almost dismissive by Federer.
Now then. He's made it.
Well,
the conjurer at work once more.
That is such a difficult shot, because his body must have felt like a corkscrew He's going at all kinds of angles, and it's such a difficult shot to play this. You see, it's almost on the backhand side. He's having to skew the racket under the ball. That is an immense shot. He won't be many better than that this year.
Beautifully shown. The point Davidenko, though, should surely feel he should have won.
It's a pity you don't use a corkscrew with champagne. One of those shots.
(15-30).
Only the best required here from Davidenko. He's finding it.
30 all.
I suppose when you've lost to an opponent 14 times, it's almost as if he's used to Federer coming up with shots like that. Instead of being bruised, he can forget it.
(40-30).
Does it remind you of Wimbledon somehow, this event? Of course, it was modelled on Wimbledon when it was first initiated, this complex. Hence the colour of the courts.
Use.
Yes, good question. I refer, of course, to the purple and green of Wimbledon.
For service.
The way he's responding after each point.
Advantage, Davidenko.
It's mammoth, each one.
Okay, Davidenko.
Heads up stuff from Davidenko, love 30 down.
Even the umpire sounded pleased.
Yes.
Davidenko leads 3 games.
3-2, he leads second set. Federer set up, 2-3 down, second set. Just the one break in the match so far. Same start to the game, the serve out wide.
15 love.
Urgency when he releases that forehand.
30 love.
He's feeling so confident about his own ability here, Federer, that he feels he can throw in the odd bit of variety, even when it's unneeded, like that serve down the middle.
Well, he did email it, and Davidenko responded magnificently. What a shot that was.
Yes, one might almost accuse Federer of a little cockiness, but he does like this little gentle dropped wrist forehand drop shot. Just doesn't get enough spin underneath the ball to stop it in its tracks. Wow.
Ouch.
40-30.
There was a chance and a half. And many shaking their head.
Game. Federer.
Well, little half chance. Soon evaporates. It's 3-all second set.
3 games on.
Yes, when you've not taken Federer to deuce in the whole match on his serve, those are the chances you've just got to take. And I mean, the very fact that I'm pointing it out suggests, of course, just how difficult it is. It's clutching at straws, perhaps.
Change of racket for Federer, the game before new balls. Okay, there's not many that rattle through their service games as quick as Federer at times. He loves the dominant, quick service game.
Call of out and then corrected and backed up by the umpire. So Davidenko's shot was in all right.
Oh. 15 love.
Clever play by Davidenko. Federer obviously expecting the cross court after the drop shot.
30 love.
Davidenko must have seen him just moving towards the center of the court in anticipation of his favorite shot. It's a terrific effort by the Russian.
40 love.
Some might have been overwhelmed.
Super. He's broken to love in his opening service game of the match. That's his first hold positively to love. It sees him into a 4-3 lead here. 3-4 second set. Does he cover the wide serve? New balls.
Ooh. 15 love.
But he made a good fist of it.
Getting closer, isn't he, Davidenko?
15 all.
Only twice in the match has he won successive points on the Federer serve. Quite a task.
There's that variation.
30-15.
Just gets you off a little late to return. Rushing Davidenko, isn't he?
40-15.
A great bit of dexterity on the volley. The ball coming straight at him. Not an easy one. Generally, of course, in those circumstances, the player will use the backhand.
Federer.
I think that ball was out of shape for quite a lot of that point.
Yes, there was a lovely bit of spin on the Davidenko single-hander, wasn't there? But Federer read it so well. Imagine if he'd grown up in South Africa. His mother's South African. He'd have been an outstanding cricketer.
So big pressure back now to the Russian. It's 4-all second set. And the one double. His shoulders are getting twitchy. He's pulling at his shirt, Davidenko. This is going to be a tough game to hold.
Yes, you mentioned the shoulders. You can see the players so often. That's where you tend to feel the shirt really sticking to you, and it's where you feel the tension as well. And as Davidenko sort of takes a bit of pace off, so Federer seems to be opening his shoulders.
First serve's gone AWOL. Is quite often the result with Davidenko. Perilous position now.
Love 40.
3 break points.
Federer.
As in the first set, Federer breaks to love. One was good enough to secure it. After an hour and 16 minutes, Federer will serve for the title.
Federer leads 5-4.
It's always interesting before a match, isn't it? You talk about the pros and cons and the chances and so on, but Federer anywhere near his best was always going to be too good, and it's proving to be just that.
Yes, I think that's true. The pressure raining down on Davidenko, just so difficult to take, and as a result you could see, as you mentioned, for the game. No more pleasing sight, surely.
Serving for the title. Federer a set in 5-4.
In 15 love.
A bit of resignation, surely, in the Davidenko mind.
30 love.
Not really looked like extending Federer in a service game. Never taken him to deuce.
He's fully motoring now, is Federer, and the faces will tell you everything you need to know.
40 love.
3 championship points.
Thank you, thank you. Game, set, match, Federer, 2 sets to love.
Delight for Federer,
6-3,
that's some reaction.
6-4.
It's his 3rd title in Doha. The 95th career final ends with his 67th title. The appetite is so strong. It's the perfect start to 2011 for Roger Federer.
Well, he's set and trained, really, a new plan for the game, with particularly the serve out wide. And I apologise for repeating it, but it is most unusual for Federer, and he is using that tactic time after time, and it is proving very fruitful. That allied to the kick serve to the left court. I think we're going to have an exciting year. Federer is looking near his very best.
6-3, 6-4 in an hour and 19 minutes. 1 minute, that final game.
Roger Federer is going to hit out tennis balls to you. 10 iPads and a Rolex, so take a look.
He gave of his all, Davidenko, beating Nadal and Federer back-to-back. Well, he's done it twice. It's a mighty tall order, and it was too tall today.
To get your prize, 1 Rolex and 10 iPads.
And the obligatories, the signatory balls that'll be dispatched for souvenirs, very handy souvenirs for many in the crowd. The ones that shout the loudest will get the first offerings.
Well, there was a time, really, when I suppose some people thought that with Federer hitting balls into the crowds, these may be the last balls that he tends to hit into the crowd. But the way he's playing, well, there's a good few years left in him, which he says, of course, he intends doing. And that surely for tennis lovers around the world is just what is wanted.
And excitement for his camp, naturally. They haven't tired of seeing Roger Federer win titles.
No, and I'm sure amongst them there's been all this discussion, but amongst those very close to him, like Mirka, mother, father, mother was here earlier in the week, they know just the task that he's set himself this year. And given the way he's played this week, they may well see the fulfillment of all that. What it is, having achieved so much, to set himself those goals.
It's comprehensive, really. That Davidenko had his moments. There were sort of half chances here and there. He just couldn't quite manage to capitalise. And his first serve percentage through, key, 57%.
Sure, because look at the second serve points won by Davidenko. I mean, he's usually over 50%, and it is down at 31. And Federer, on the other hand, and of course, all that suggests is that there weren't many aces on the second serve. In fact, there weren't any. He just dominated him off the ground.
Hopefully, we'll hear from the master. Very upbeat. No break points at all for Davidenko. extraordinary. He makes the game look so easy.
Yes, he barely raises a sweat. At a point early in the week, they'd like to perhaps bottle it and try and commercialize it, but there just isn't any of it. He's just always in position.
Yes, they'd be miniatures, to say the least. But look at the faces. That says so much. The game plan is clear. Federer means business for 2011 in every event, you feel. Great to see. Feeling 67 times he's felt it.
And the beauty too, I suppose, as far as Federer is concerned, is just
Roger,
the way he moves.
the first three-time winner here in Doha, unbelievable.
Yeah, it does feel great. Look, I can't believe the season has already started and gone on the way, and I'm already on the board with a title, and this one is a big one. You know, Rafa was part of it, Davidenko has been part of it, Tsonga has been part of it, so it was a really strong tournament to start off this 2011 campaign. And you know, I think Davidenko, he's a top 10 player, not really what his ranking says at the moment. He was really injured last year, but he seems he's really come back, and so I'm very happy. Today was tough, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Congratulations, Roger, on your 67th career singles title. Way to go.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. It makes the Australian Open even more mouth-watering Monday week.
Yes, and the point I was going to make is that just the